Hello students, so today we are going to discuss how morphine act, or you can say what is the analgesic mechanism of action of morphine. So one of the very important question which is asked in theory paper of MBBS. Now first we will see morphine, it belongs to which group of drug. यहीं से पता चलता है, it is an analgesic drug. So let's quickly revise. This comes under a opioid analgesic. इसमें आती है आपकी. So opioid analgesic, it includes opiate, which we are going to get from the opium, from the natural source. So natural source से आपका क्या है? Morphine and codeine we are going to get. So we are talking about this. इसका हम इसके mechanism of action के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. So this comes under opioid. So opioid में क्या है? Opiate, which we get from the natural semi-synthetic, then synthetic one and endogenous opioids. ठीक है? So opiates में मैंने बता दिया natural है, semi-synthetic है, synthetic में आपकी agonist, antagonist है, partial agonist है, pure antagonist है, and endogenous opioid peptide. This is the separate. So in the body itself there is a system which is going to take care of the pain. Right? Now coming to how this morphine it is going to act, or what is the analgesic mechanism of action of morphine. So to make you understand how this morphine it is going to exert analgesic action, you must know the physiology of the pain transmission. Right? ये मैंने थोड़ा सा पाथवे बनाया है यहाँ पे फिजियोलॉजी ऑफ पेन ट्रांसमिशन का. Right? So how this pain is transmitted? Suppose if you get any injury, any stimulus or any noxious stimulus, it can be mechanical, it can be chemical, it can be thermal. ठीक है, कोई भी हो. So what will happen? The body will immediately feel the pain. अगर किसी ने कोई गर्म चीज रख दी है हाथ पे, तो immediately I am going to withdraw my hand. If somebody pricks mechanical injury, I am going to withdraw. So pain, it is a good thing. This is the one which is going to prevent the further tissue damage. मैं अगर हाथ नहीं हटाऊंगी, then what will happen? My hand will be injured very badly. Now, what is the, so any stimuli, कोई भी आपका stimuli है, it can be mechanical, it can be thermal, it can be chemical. ठीक है. Suppose किसी ने मेरी finger पे, this is a finger, somebody has pricked it with a pin. This is a pin. Now what will happen with this prick? There will be accumulation of, थोड़ी सी bleeding होगी, and then there will be accumulation of the immunocytes. Immune cells हो जाएंगे यहाँ पे इकट्ठे. Immunocytes, cytokines, prostaglandins, all that will be there. Now here, all these, they are going to stimulate what? They are going to stimulate the nociceptors. ठीक है, ये क्या करेंगे? Nociceptors को stimulate कर देंगे. Suppose this one is a nociceptor. Now this get stimulated. Now what will happen? This nociceptor, they are going to carry the pain to where? To the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. यहाँ पे आके ये क्या करेगी? रिले कर जाएगी. So this is a first order neuron. ठीक है, you can see, I'll show you a broader picture. थोड़ा सा इसको क्लियर कर देते हैं. So first order neuron will be relayed here. From here, the second order neuron will start. Now this second order neuron, what will happen? It is going to cross this from the dorsal horn. Dorsal horn, they are going to carry the sensory component, and the ventral horn, they are going to carry the motor fibers. So ये आपकी sensory है. This will be carried by the dorsal horn. तो ये आपकी dorsal horn में ही आएगी यहाँ पे. From here, the second order neuron that is going to start, and this is going to cross this from the dorsal towards the ventral, and then what will happen? It is going to go from the spinal cord to the supraspinal region, which is going to include the medulla, pons, midbrain, and ultimately this second order neuron will be relayed where? In the thalamus. Now यहाँ पे रिले होने के बाद, now from here the third order neuron will start, and it will be relayed where? In the cortex. Right? So this is the pain transmission pathway. From first order to the second order, यहाँ से from the first order to the second order, how the pain is transmitted. इसका मतलब है कोई chemical mediator they are released here at this synapse. What are those chemical mediator which are released over here? They are substance P, glutamate, and calcitonin gene related peptide. So these chemicals, they are released here at the first order neuron, and they are going to carry the sensation, pain sensation by the second order neuron and relay in the thalamus, and further it is going to carry that to the somatosensory cortex, and person is going to feel pain and person is going to withdraw. ठीक है, ये हो गया आपका. This with the red color shown, this is a pain transmission pathway. What is this? Pain transmission. ये आप पढ़ते हो. It is a spinothalamic tract. Spinal cord से thalamus. It is a spinothalamic tract. Now in the body there is another pathway, another nociceptive pathway, जिसको बोलते हैं descending pathway, or which is called as pain modulation pathway. ये. So as such, it is inactive. It gets activated whenever the person get any noxious stimuli or any kind of stimuli. जैसे stimuli होता है, along with this pain transmission pathway, इसके साथ ही pain transmission pathway के साथ ही आपका क्या होगा? जब ये वाला stimulate होता है, then this pathway will also get stimulated, or descending pathway. इसको क्या बोलते हैं? Pain modulation pathway. So इसमें क्या है? It is going to start from the midbrain. ये midbrain से शुरू होता है. So in the midbrain, what are the structure is there? It is a periaqueductal gray matter. So aqueduct उसके around gray matter होता है, which is going to receive the innervation from many region of the brain. So from here the first order neuron, it will start. ठीक है, ये first order है यहाँ पे, and it is going to relay where? In the pons यहाँ पे. From here the second order neuron will start, and ultimately it is going to also come where? In the same region. ठीक है, तो ये भी आपकी same region में वहीं पे आपकी it is going to relay where? In the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, and it is going to make the inhibitory communication with this. So this is the one which is going to cause the modulation of the pain. So it is going to send the inhibitory sensation to this. ये क्या करेगा? इसको inhibitory sensation it is going to send to this primary afferent neuron, and there is no release of this substance P and glutamate, and pain transmission from primary afferent to the postsynaptically, this is inhibited. This is how the modulatory pathway, it is going to modify the pain transmission pathway. Okay? Then there is another neuron. This is a with the green color I have drawn. This is the interneuron which carries the endogenous opioid. Okay? So hope इतना आपको पता लग गया. Now this portion, ये वाला, ये इतना portion, the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, ये वाला portion. Now I am going to highlight this portion over here. ये वाला जो आपका portion है ना, इसको I am going to make a bigger one over here. अब यहाँ पे आपके क्या क्या हैं? What all structures they come here? थोड़ा इसको broad करते हैं. With the red color, red color में क्या है? The presynaptic. I'll use this, try to use the same color. So presynaptic primary afferent neuron. ये आपका क्या है? This is a dorsal horn of the spinal cord. ये मैंने बनाया dorsal horn of the spinal cord. Substantia gelatinous of the dorsal horn of the substantia gelatinous of the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. ये मैंने ये बनाया. ठीक है? So this is a presynaptic, and here is a post-synaptic neuron. Okay, this is a post-synaptic neuron. Now within this, the three things they are there: glutamate, then we have a substance P, and then we have a calcitonin gene related peptide. Now what will happen? Now if glutamate, अगर ये आपका glutamate ये वाला release होता है, then presynaptically if it is released, then it is going to act postsynaptically on NMDA receptor and AMPA receptor. इन दोनों पे ये काम करेगा. With the action on the NMDA receptor, what will happen? There is an influx of the calcium ion. So normally what happens? This NMDA receptor, they are blocked by one of the important ion, that is a magnesium ion. So initially there will be no influx of the calcium ion, but with the AMPA there is no blockade. Then what will happen? This glutamate, it is going to bind with this AMPA receptor, and there is a inward movement of which ion? Inward movement of the sodium ion, and this sodium ion, it is going to lead to the depolarization. एक बार depolarization होगी, then what will happen? This जो negative influence है, because of this depolarization, the negative influence of this magnesium, ठीक है, this will be cancelled. ये आपकी पूरी cancel हो जाएगी. Now there is no negative influence. Now what will happen with the glutamate? It can bind even with the NMDA receptor, and there is an influx of the calcium ion. अब positive ion अंदर गया, then what will happen? The impulse will be carried postsynaptically to where? To the somatosensory cortex, and person is going to withdraw hand. ठीक है? So this is with the one. Now coming to the second one. ठीक है? Second one is here. It is a this substance P with the blue color. Substance P, it is going to act with on which what kind of receptor? Neurokinin 1 type of receptor. ये आपका blue color वाला, this is going to act over here. Now what is the action of this? This is again going to ये जो neurokinin, once it binds, it is going to again inhibit this, the inhibitory effect of the magnesium on the NMDA receptor. ये हट गया. Then what will happen? Again there is a influx of the calcium. Depolarization will happen. Now the third thing, with the calcitonin gene related peptide, this also binds here. This is going to bring a different kind of change. And what will happen? It is going to decrease the threshold potential, so that even at lower potential also the transmission will happen. So the three neurotransmitter, what with the purple color I have shown, purple color से आपको यहाँ पे ये दिखाया है, what I have shown with the purple color से with the glutamate, with the blue color it is a substance P, ये substance P है, and with the green color it is a calcitonin gene related peptide. So ultimately these three neurotransmitter, once they are released, they are going to bind postsynaptically with its receptor, and ultimately there is a increase influx of the sodium and calcium ion and action potential, that is transmitted pre-synaptically से post-synaptically and pain transmission will happen. ठीक है, एक तो ये हो गया. Now another structure, if you remember this blue color, यहाँ पे ये जो blue color from the descending pathway, ये आपका blue color से है descending pathway से the second order neuron, they are also coming here only. Now what comes from this, थोड़ा सा इसमें हम नोट कर लेते हैं. This is the spinal cord of dorsal horn of the spinal cord. So now what they are going to, they have 5-HT and norepinephrine. Okay. Now this descending or modulatory pathway, they are going to send the inhibitory, its inhibitory influence on where? On this presynaptic neuron. Now they are going to cause the release of 5-HT and norepinephrine, which is taken up by the presynaptic neuron by the transporter, like serotonin transporter and norepinephrine transporter. Now once they are taken up, then what are they are going to do? They are going to have negative influence on this. So there will be no release of these substances and no transmission of the pain will happen. अगर आपका ये वाला release नहीं हुआ, then what will happen? The post synaptically there will be this pain transmission जो आपकी इधर हो रही थी post synaptically, यहाँ पे ये नहीं होगी. ठीक है. So along with that, now there is another one more with a green color I have shown. That is a, फिर से यहाँ पे दिखा देती हूँ. This is a interneuron. ये वाला, ये आपका this color, this one. This is the interneuron. Now I am going to draw this again with the same color, green color. So this is the interneuron. So interneuron, they are going to carry endogenous opioid. Endogenous opioid, it can be endorphin, it can be dynorphin, it can be enkephalin. Let's say enkephalin है यहाँ पे. ठीक है. Now this inhibitory, ये जो आपका ब्लू कलर का इनहिबिटरी विद मोनो जिसमें 5-HT और नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन है, इसने इसको तो इनहिबिट किया प्री सिनेप्टिक को, बट इट इज गोइंग टू सेंड द पॉजिटिव इंपल्सेस. इसको ये क्या करेगा, इसको ये दोनों पॉजिटिव नॉरएपिनेफ्रिन and 5-HT, they are going to positive. Then what will happen? Enkephalin that is released. Now enkephalin, once it comes, it is going to bind with the opioid receptor because it is endogenous opioid. It is going to bind with the opioid receptor and this also going to inhibit the release of ये presynaptic वाला जो आपका है ना पार्ट, ये नहीं रिलीज होगा. जब ये नहीं रिलीज होगा, again the same thing, there will be no transmission of the pain. ठीक है. तो अभी तक मैंने क्या बताया, how the morphine it is going to exert its analgesic action. See, we have two mechanism, neural and then we have a cellular. Neural के further we have two component, central and a peripheral. Peripheral मैंने अभी बताया नहीं. So far I have explained the central component. So central component में क्या है? So morphine, it is in the whole body, the opioid receptor, they are widely distributed. Obviously, opioid receptor, they are widely distributed in the CNS and in the peripheral tissue. Okay, so CNS में and the peripheral tissue में everywhere the opioid receptor, they are there, and this morphine, it is going to bind to these receptors. And where they are present, the opioid receptor everywhere. Like यहाँ से शुरू हो जाओ from the primary efferent, I'll write somewhere. So they are present in the primary efferent neuron, then dorsal horn of spinal cord. Okay. Then spinal cord pain transmission pathway, देन सुप्रास्पाइनल रीजन, सुप्रास्पाइनल में आपका मेडुला, पॉन्स एंड मिड ब्रेन वो आ जाता है, ठीक है। सुप्रास्पाइनल रीजन implicated in pain transmission. Then modulation pathway or descending pathway. Pain modulation pathway, a pain modulation pathway which includes आपका कौन सा, periaqueductal gray matter, nucleus raphe of the medulla, यहाँ पे भी आपके pain receptor they are there. So all these everywhere they, so once you are going to give the morphine it is going to bind at all these sites. So it is going to exert analgesic action both at the spinal as well as supraspinal region. Now what it is going to do here, so substantia gelatinous of the dorsal horn of the spinal cord, it is going to bind and it is going to cause the inhibition of release of excitatory neurotransmitter, कौन से, glutamate, substance P and calcitonin gene related peptide. So the further pain transmission will not happen post synaptically. ये हो गया, ठीक है। यहाँ पे भी ये सेम करेगी. Now it is going to bind, फिर again I'll go to that figure. So it is going to bind where, it is going to bind this with the inhibitory pathway or pain modulation pathway, which is having the inhibitory influence, where which is sending the inhibitory influence to the this spinal cord pain transmission pathway by the release of 5-HT and norepinephrine. So again there is no release of this 3 neurotransmitter जो आपके हैं glutamate, substance P and calcitonin gene related peptide, and post synaptically again the pain transmission will not happen. तो यहाँ तक पता लग गया. So this is about the central mechanism both spinal and supraspinal. ठीक है. Now coming to the peripheral mechanism में इसका कैसे है? See peripheral, with the tissue injury what will happen? Tissue injury से आपके यहाँ पे starting में बताया the immune cells they get activated. The immune cells they are rich in opioid peptides, endogenous opioid peptides, and this primary afferent neuron or sensory neuron they are rich in mu receptor, opioid mu receptor they are there. Now this opioid peptide they are going to bind with the mu receptor which is present on the primary afferent neuron, and they are going to inhibit this impulse. So this is the peripheral mechanism of action of the morphine. So central मैंने बता दिया, peripheral बता दिया. So this is a neural mechanism of action of the morphine. अब ये है कि यहाँ पे ये सारा inhibit हुआ, ठीक है. It is going to inhibit the release of this glutamate, substance P and calcitonin gene related peptide. But how exactly this thing happens? ठीक है, show in a neat diagram. So morphine, I told it is opioid receptor they are present everywhere, ठीक है, widely distributed especially in the spinal cord. तो ये वाला जो रीजन बनाया, ये क्या बनाया मैंने, स्पाइनल कॉर्ड का ही बनाया. रीजन यहाँ से उठाया ना, दिस रीजन, इसी का मैंने वो ब्रॉड पिक्चर यहाँ पे दिखाया, ठीक है, दिस, ठीक है, this is the broader picture of that. Now what will happen? Opioid receptor they are present everywhere. अगर इस रीजन में लेते स्पाइनल कॉर्ड में, they are present प्री-साइनेप्टिकली, मतलब यहाँ पे भी है ओपियोइड रिसेप्टर, इस यहाँ पे भी है और यहाँ पोस्ट साइनेप्टिकली भी है. सो व्हाट काइंड ऑफ रिसेप्टर दे आर देयर? दे आर द 3 रिसेप्टर mu, kappa and delta. They are there present pre-synaptically, post-synaptically, everywhere. जो मैंने अभी बताया, primary afferent neuron, dorsal horn of the spinal cord, then supraspinal region which are implicated in the pain transmission, everywhere they are there. ठीक है. Now what kind of receptor they are? They are G protein coupled receptor. And which nature they are? G inhibitory. Inhibitory nature. Now what will happen once you are going to give the morphine, and where they are present? I already told they are present both pre-synaptically as well as post-synaptically. Suppose this is a pre-synaptically, the 3 receptor they are present, mu, kappa and delta. Now what happens? This is going to bind with the receptor presynaptically. It is going to bind with all the opioid मैंने दिया, whether it is an endogenous opioid or exogenous opioid. They are going to bind. Opioid हमने दिया. They are going to bind with these presynaptic receptor, mu से भी, kappa से भी, and delta से भी. Now these are inhibitory in nature. Now once they are going to bind, what they are going to do? They are going to activate adenyl cyclase, rather inhibit करेंगे, and they are going to decrease the level of cyclic AMP. एक बार ये level कम हुआ, now the two things will happen. This is going to cause the closure of calcium channel, N type of calcium channel, and opening of potassium channel presynaptically. ठीक है. Now ये जो closure of calcium channel है, this is once it binds with the kappa receptor, and opening of potassium channel, this happens with the mu and delta receptor. ठीक है. यहाँ पे क्या है आपका with the kappa receptor. Now if there is a closure of the calcium ion, then what will happen? Calcium ion channel, there will be no influx of the calcium. यहाँ पे मैं ड्रॉ करके बताती हूँ. सपोज यहाँ पे क्या है, if it binds, then what will happen? थोड़ी सी चीजें रब करके it will be neat. ठीक है. Now here it is a calcium channel. ये what will happen for the release of this? ये अगर आपको ये न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर की रिलीज करनी है, इसकी रिलीज के लिए हमें क्या चाहिए? इसकी रिलीज कब होगी? यहाँ से. इसकी रिलीज तब होगी जब हम calcium influx will be there. So for the exocytosis of the neurotransmitter, the influx of the calcium, it is a must. अब ये calcium अगर अंदर नहीं जाता, then what will happen? ये आपके neurotransmitter substance P, calcitonin G and glutamate ये नहीं आएंगे. They will not bind post synaptically. यहाँ इसके साथ नहीं bind करेंगे. Then post synaptically ये वाला region जो है, there will be no impulse. ये वाले में कोई impulse post synaptically. Person is not going to feel pain. Second is through mu and delta, they are going to open potassium channel. They are going to open the potassium channel. Potassium will move out. Hyperpolarization. ठीक है. So hyperpolarization हो जाएगी. Because of that, again the transmission of pain will not happen. So this is a presynaptically, it is going to act to all the three receptors, but postsynaptically the major action is hyperpolarization. Okay, there is a influx of the potassium ion. You can see one diagram here. This I have taken from the tripartite. ठीक है. इसमें ये सेलुलर मैकेनिज्म और ट्रांसडक्शन मैकेनिज्म बताया गया. दिस इज अ ओपियोइड रिसेप्टर. ये है ओपियोइड रिसेप्टर with mu, kappa and delta. They are G protein couple receptor, inhibitory in nature. Second messenger adenyl cyclase. Once the opioid जब इसके साथ bind करता है, then what will happen? It is going to cause decrease in the level of cyclic AMP. एक बार अगर ये लेवल कम हुआ, then what will happen with the kappa receptor? ये kappa receptor के साथ क्या हो गया? The entry of the calcium that is decreased, and through mu and delta receptor there will be hyperpolarization, through the opening of the potassium channel. So दोनों ही with the reduced entry and hyperpolarization, what will happen? There will be decreased release of neurotransmitter. यहाँ पे हम कौन से neurotransmitter की बात कर रहे हैं? We are talking about glutamate, substance P and calcitonin gene related peptide, because they are the one which are going to carry the pain impulse from the first order neuron say to the second order neuron. So this is the way you are supposed to write its mechanism of action. आपने पूरा देना, न्यूरल देना है, सेलुलर जो मैंने अभी एंड में बताया था, रिसेप्टर लेवल पे क्या होता है. न्यूरल में आप स्पाइनल और सुप्रा स्पाइनल बताए. सेंट्रल एंड पेरिफेरल पहले बताओ, सेंट्रल एंड पेरिफेरल में कैसे है. ठीक है. सो स्पाइनल में ये वाला मेनली यू एक्सप्लेन द असेंडिंग पाथवे, सुप्रास्पाइनल में आप डिसेंडिंग पाथवे करो एंड देन यू एक्सप्लेन अबाउट द इंटरन्यूरॉन, उसका क्या इन्फ्लुएंस है। देन पेरिफेरल में आप ये जो नोसिसेप्टर्स हैं यहाँ पे, ये वाले जो नोसिसेप्टर्स हैं, सो व्हाट विल हैपन विद द इम्यून सेल्स once person get injured, then immune cells they get accumulated, and from here the endogenous opioid or opioids they are released, and this primary afferent neuron they are rich in mu receptor, opioid उसके साथ लगेगा, and then what will happen, there will be no transmission of pain. तो ये peripheral है. That's it about the mechanism of action of the morphine. So if you like the video, please subscribe my channel and put up the important suggestion in the comment box.